Jamie, and welcome back to my channel, Candidly Chaotic. Here I share homeschooling and mom life and just family adventures that comes from the homeschooling lifestyle. So it's been a while since I have been able to put any videos up because we've been really busy. We have traveled like every other weekend here for the last couple weeks. And so yep, that's just how it goes sometimes, especially because we have the freedom to do that since we do homeschool. Today, I want to share a video about our math curriculum. And so at the beginning of the school year, I put a video out about what our kindergarten curriculum would be. And I said that we would be doing Math-U-See. And then I don't remember how long ago, I put a video about something else, but I included the fact that we had already switched to Horizons really before we had even started. And I talked a little bit about the reason for that, but today I wanted to go a little bit more in depth about Horizons Math and what we will be doing. And I'm gonna be really honest, my windows are open today and it's a warm-ish day, but it's actually still kind of chilly, so I gotta put my sweatshirt on. But wow, do I love fall. It's like my favorite season. So on to the topic at hand. We were going to do Math-U-See. I had worked a little over halfway through the primer with my son, and I actually purchased the Alpha books and the video and all of that because I really do like the theory behind Math-U-See, and I have heard so many good things about Math-U-See. And in teaching my son with Math-U-See, I do see benefits. However, I'm not sure if maybe my son, maybe the curriculum just isn't right for him, or maybe the way primer isn't right for him, and later levels will be good for him. I'm not sure. We're gonna have to wait and see. I have kept primer and I haven't sold my Alpha yet. Most of it is not even unwrapped, and so at any time I can really do that, but I'm gonna hold off maybe even until my second child comes to that age and we see what he needs. I think I might wait. But anyways, I decided to stop the primer from Math-U-See and change to Horizons Math Level K. So this is Horizons Math Level K. This is the teacher book. And then this is book 1. And there's another, like for the students, and then there's another student book that we actually haven't purchased yet because we wanted to see, is this gonna work? Is this the right route? So I stopped Math-U-See because in primer, I really like that there are things introduced at, appropriate level of understanding, but that you usually don't see till later on. So solving for the unknown was introduced a little past the midway through, I think, in a very small way, and using the blocks, those blocks that it comes with, the manipulatives, and my son really did well with it. And so stuff like that seemed advanced, because I've just never seen it introduced at like a preschool kindergarten level. It wasn't too advanced. The problem came with, perhaps I started primer too soon for him, so that might be part of the problem. I'm just being honest. This is an honest review, and hopefully it can help you figure out when to start it, or maybe it's not right for you. But I think perhaps we either started it too soon, or it just doesn't work correctly for my son's brain, at least at this point in time. I'm not sure which one it is. In primer, it is said, in the outcomes and stuff, that it helps with number recognition and counting and all the things that he was working on like halfway through his second year of preschool, and then, the beginning of kindergarten. And so I thought it would be appropriate. The problem is that it introduces really quickly place value, and I see the merit in that because place value is hard, and the way that they teach place value is great. I think that I will probably use that again later as we build upon that. And I'll probably pull out those lessons maybe to like supplement this. It depends how this goes about it. But it was expecting him to know things like 50 and 60, you know, and 70 at the same time as knowing 15 and 16 and 17, like recognition of it as well as saying those things. And those are so similar sounding that when you are first learning them, my son was constantly switching those up and confusing them. So like I said, that's where I'm not sure if it just didn't work for my son's brain, or, you know, the way he's wired, or perhaps it was that I introduced it before he was ready. I'm not sure if maybe he should have known his teen numbers already before I started it. I'm not sure. So my son came to kind of like dread math and be so bummed that it was math time when outside of school time, my son loves counting. He actually tries to count during all other subjects, and it's sweet, but it's frustrating because I have to be like, I have to balance this. Okay, don't count right now while I'm trying to teach you to read at the same time as giving him freedom to do things he loves. So he loves to count. He knows math facts. He picks them up really easily. He watches a show called Number Blocks, and that has really taught him a lot about counting and adding, and he just like whizzes through certain smaller addition facts and is constantly asking me whatever number plus whatever number equals. And so to me, to love it outside of school time and then come to school time and say I hate this subject, or I don't like this subject, and dread it, didn't make sense. And he's in kindergarten. Fun should be had in every subject, in my opinion. Like, I want to foster a love of learning, not just teach him the subject. And so that's why I decided I'm going to try something different because I want him to love reading, or at least not dread it. And so Horizons, I had heard pretty good things about. I didn't want it to be too rigorous. I didn't want it to be too fast-paced. But I did want it to teach the things that he needed to learn. And also, honestly, Matthew C. is not colorful at all, and I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. But for my son, I think that it was needed, a little bit of interest. Like, this is what pages look like. And so I think a little bit of color was indeed needed. I also I was concerned, I guess, about Matthew C. doesn't really cover like money or clock time, telling time a lot. It briefly touches over it, but there's not a lot of focus on it because it focuses on place value, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. You know, it focuses on these very specific subjects, which is part of its, you know, draw, but because it's mastery based, but then it leaves certain things like money and telling time and other things that I can't think of right now that I thought, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to buy supplemental things, and we're gonna have to do the regular lesson on top of other lessons sometimes just to get him to have a familiarity with certain things. And so I just didn't want to do that. I like simplicity a lot, and I like things to help talk me through. I like my curriculum to talk me through it until I get comfortable with it. So that is why I went ahead and bought the teacher manual. I've heard, you know, mixed feelings about the teacher manual, but I have heard a lot of people say until you know how the Horizons work, they do recommend getting the teacher manual so you know like how to teach things and how they are suggesting that you teach things. And it has been very helpful to me to know when to review, how to review, that kind of thing. So that is why we stopped Matthew C, and that is why I chose Horizons instead. So how has it gone for us? It's gone better. At the very beginning, my son definitely has this affinity for new shiny things, and so he was super excited about his new math worksheets. It's not as exciting for him now that it's kind of just what we do, because we are on lesson 26. So we've done 26 of these, well, we've done 25 of these lessons. And now you have to know my son, he has really good days where he's got a great attitude and actually asks me to do more lessons and more school things, and he has really horrible days where he tells me, I don't want to do school, when is it going to be over, this is awful. And it's just, and sometimes we have days in between. And so it's not like he specifically dreads math anymore, and there have been days where he's been very interested in the lesson and he wants to take it further. So I'm calling that a correct decision for us to change at this point. I'm not too keen on changing curriculum like all the time. I think that you should change it when it's appropriate, but and not be afraid to change it if you feel like it's the curriculum you're using is not right for you. But I don't really want to like switch back to Math-U-See this year. I would really like to use this straight way through. Like I said, I may pull out specific lessons from Math-U-See to like help solidify certain concepts. I could see that happening, but I really do want to use this for the most part, and I think it's the right thing. There have been, it did move fairly slowly until we've gotten to this lesson, and now I feel like it's kind of starting to pick up pace just a little bit. But my son hasn't really struggled in any way yet, so I think it's an appropriate pace change. And there is, I didn't think that I would like the spiral method. I thought mastery based made more sense to build things and to, you know, help with confusion. However, my son likes seeing different things and likes not having the same thing every day. He likes that variety. I think that it helps him stay interested and helps keep his interest. We do certain things like multiple days in a row, so it's not like there's zero repetition, and then it'll kind of leave something and come back to it later, and then build upon it after you've reviewed it. And so that actually has worked for my son, I do think rather well. So I would say I am liking Horizons Math for the kindergarten level. I like that it has color. That's not necessary, but I think especially at a lower level, drawing a child's interest and yeah, drawing their interest is important. And I also think for the spiral method for math, in the way that Horizons has done it so far, I do think for the way that my son is wired, it is the right approach. It keeps his interest because it's not always the same, and he enjoys that variation. If we do the same thing too much, he tunes out. Now, the other, like my son is very middle. He needs this middle thing. If it changes too much and he's like, whoa, this is way too new, he shuts down and doesn't want to try because, I don't know, like fear of failure or like just not wanting to get it wrong or whatever. He likes to know it right away. But on the flip side, if we do the same thing all the time and it's too monotonous, he gets bored. And I do feel like so far this has been the right balance for him. The right balance of challenge versus, review. So that's my honest review of the Math Horizons for kindergarten up to this point. I will likely, hopefully, continue this the whole year, and then I can give you a year-end review. But that's where I'm at if you're trying to make decisions about math. So for the Math-U-See people, don't write it off. If you watch this video, don't just write it off, because I do think that for some students, even at this age level, I do think it could work. but just go into the primer, especially because it's supposed to be a mastery based. The primer is less focused on one subject, and I think that the span of giving it tried to give a span and a base to work off of, and I think that it was just a little bit too much too soon for my son. That's what I think happened. Also, the lack of color and the lack of interest was a thing for my son as well. I don't know if I hope that those reviews are helpful for you as you are choosing math curriculum. I think that they both can be great. You just have to know what your needs are and what your students' needs are, and you have to know that you might not know it right away and have to be willing to change it. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button if these videos are helpful for you, and talk to me in the comments. I love to hear your thoughts, your questions, and if there are any videos that you would like to see.